Welcome back to Sarina Nicole, where we focus on curating everyday elegance with joy. By the end of today's video, you're going to learn 10 common design mistakes that sabotage your home's harmony. By the end of today's video, you'll learn how to avoid the clutter that keeps your home from feeling serene, practical tips for balancing beauty and functionality, how to create a personalized, elegant space that tells your unique story. I've created chapter titles in the description box below if there are one or two or maybe more tips that you really want to focus on right now. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. The first tip that might be sabotaging your home is too much clutter. That's right, clutter. Overloading your space with too much furniture or decor can make it feel chaotic. It's very important in a harmonious home that there are open spaces, flat spaces, clear spaces for the eye to land on. This creates a feeling of spaciousness and aids our nervous system in terms of feeling calm and relaxed. We automatically tense up because we don't know where there are threats. There could be threats in terms of falling on the floor. There might be threats hidden in piles of clutter. It signals subconsciously to us that this is a dangerous environment. So as much as possible, again, you want to focus on decluttering and making sure that there is flow in your space. And flow is actually our second tip. What is flow, you might be wondering? Flow is how you get around the room, and a room that has not been organized mindfully will be hard for people to move around. They might have to squeeze up, shimmy to get around a certain tight spot. They might knock their shins, into furniture that is at square corners, and where curved would be more appropriate. So it's very important that when designing your room, you're not just thinking of aesthetics, and we're going to get into that as well, but you're looking at functionality. So if there's a room or two that's giving you some trouble, you're noticing that people are not moving around optimally, take a look and see what paths they are naturally trying to make, and see how you can facilitate the layout of that furniture to accommodate that flow, or how you can move the furniture to redirect people into the directions that you would prefer them to take. The third tip that may be disrupting your home's harmony is a lack of cohesion. A lack of cohesion can occur for two main reasons. One, an undefined color palette, meaning that there are a lot of clashing colors in the space, or a lack of cohesion regarding the design styles used in the room, meaning that there either isn't one clear defined style, it's a complete hodgepodge, or the design styles that are being used in the room are clashing with each other. So there is a formula to combining design styles that is wonderful if you want to combine design styles yourself, either because you just don't want to be nailed down to just one, and that's good because it can bring layers of interest and intrigue to your space, as well as if you want to bring in the design preferences of, say, a partner that you are sharing the space with. And I'm going to get into more detail into combining design styles into a single space in a future video. So you want to stick around for that. And speaking of stick around, feel free to click like and subscribe as well. It really helps the YouTube algorithm to push this content out to more viewers, and I really would appreciate that. The fourth tip that may be disrupting your home's harmony is overlooking lighting. Now with lighting, it's very much like Goldilocks. And is it the three bears or the three pigs? No, the three pigs is the I'll huff and puff and blow your house down. Goldilocks was the three bears, wasn't it? Anyway. The fourth tip that can ruin your home's sense of harmony is overlooking lighting. Now with lighting, it's very easy to get it wrong, not unlike the story of Goldilocks and the three bears. Not enough lighting and your space can look gloomy, grim, unwelcoming, possibly even a little threatening. too much lighting and your place can feel sterile, like an interrogation room or a hospital room or a medical office. I'm thinking of doctors a lot here, aren't I? What you really want is you want to achieve a balance where the room is well lit, yet cozy and comforting. And I recommend that you choose warm lights to achieve this. Lights that are in the 2700 to 300 Kelvin spectrum. I can't emphasize the importance of not relying solely on overhead lighting. When you layer your lighting, it creates a sense of warmth, depth and space in your home. So bring in those lamps, bring in those candles, and even use spotlights on the floor to highlight corners, as well as pieces of art, decor or interest that you might want the eye to linger on. You'd be surprised the difference that it makes. The fifth mistake that might be spoiling your home sense of harmony is focusing on aesthetics over functionality. Yes, we can go too far in the other direction as well. I'm sure we've all seen those rooms and furniture trends that just look a little crazy and we laugh to ourselves and think, what were they thinking? And yet sometimes those pieces look so attractive that we might overlook our own sense of, this might not be the most practical item for my space. And so it's very important that you think of how a room is going to actually be lived in, how it's actually going to be used, before you bring in those pieces that look so perfect online, on the gram, but actually may not fit into your lifestyle.
Only one more glass of water to go for 6 by 6.
The sixth mistake that may be ruining your home's sense of harmony is forgetting personal touches. It's very easy to fall into trends and to get swept along with what we see online, in social media, in videos, on television, and we end up with a home that looks very much like a catalog when we do this. We end up with a home that's, whether we intend it to be that way or not, very locked into a certain time period. So I emphasize that not only do you not focus on trends, that you focus on classic pieces, timeless pieces, that you bring in as many eras as possible, because it's so easy now when we get locked into a trend or we decide we're going to design a room all at once, that within 5 years, 10 years, somebody looks at that room and goes, wow, this is so 2007. This is so 1998, you know what I mean? So we can avoid that by bringing in and rotating in pieces that are from different eras, time-wise, as well as pieces that tell our unique story. Pieces from our past, pieces from our family's past, pieces from loved ones, vintage pieces, thrifted pieces. So make sure that you're not just taking a one and done approach, getting everything at once in one big haul, because you don't want a home that looks like a catalog. You don't want your home to feel sterile. You really want your home to be a reflection of who you are, your unique life story, and your core values. I'm about to change this vignette that I've had on the custom console table, the bookshelf that I keep under the TV. This shelf was actually designed by my mother in the 60s, and so of course I adore it for that reason. The vignette under here contains 2 items from my father. Cigar boxes. He was a lover of cigars, so I do have some of his cigar boxes and I use them to hide items. Like here I have the snuffer and the wick trimmer for my candles, as well as a sentimental key from my late aunt. And on top of it is a tiny trophy that my father, who was a model airplane enthusiast and ended up becoming a very high-level official with my national airline. I'll get into his story one day, it's quite fascinating. But he started off as a model airplane enthusiast, and this was one of the first trophies he ever won, I believe as a boy. This would have been in the early 1940s. And so I have a few of his trophies that he held on to. So by having that, like again, this is so unique and so special. It's not necessarily decor, it wasn't designed as decor, but it's decor now, and it's my story. Do you hear the parrots? The parrots are coming in to nest from feeding all day. It's sunset right now as I'm filming this, so if you do hear some squawking in the background, bear in mind that it's just parrots heading home. The joys of tropical living. The seventh mistake that might be disrupting your home's sense of harmony is picking the wrong color palette. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but I really want to focus on it this time around now. Colors tell a story. They set a mood. Bright, vibrant colors signal energy and activity, whereas paler colors, pastel colors, can signify gentleness, rest, relaxation. There's a whole story behind the moods and the psychologies of colors, which doesn't mean that you need to feel locked into them. Colors also have very personal meanings, and what might be true for a pool of people might be very different for you because of your unique story. So keep that in mind, while also playing into the idea that whatever color you do decide to pick on, they should work well together. So you want to spend some time looking at different color palettes, either through Pinterest or Instagram, so that you're very sure that the colors that you want for the room that you are focusing on, say, after watching this video, really work together, harmonize, and give the sense, the energy, the mood that you want that room to convey. Now, on top of that, you want to be sure about the traffic in the room. How heavily is the room going to be used? What fabrics are in the room? So the color palette for a very high traffic area, an area that's going to be used a lot, whether it's your personal use, whether it's children or pets, you may, for example, want to stay away from an all-white palette or a palette of creams and beiges if it is that your season of life right now is one where there might be a lot of messes and spills. You can get around that with, say, durability fabrics and special treatments. But if it is that you really just want to take the simplest approach, you want to keep those things in mind. How is this room actually going to be used? And will these colors, will this palette actually be practical for the use of the room? You also want to look at the finishes in the room, whether you're going to go with, say, a matte paint, which is, some would say, a little less durable than, say, a high gloss finish. But a high gloss finish isn't appropriate most of the time, say, for living areas. We want to keep that, I would say, recommend to furniture cabinets. A nice middle ground is eggshell and satin finishes if you want to get some coverage on the wall combined with durability. So there's a lot to look into when you're looking at the color palette and the actual paints and finishes and fabrics. So once again, keep in mind, what is the function of this room and how can I best support it through my color choices, my fabric choices, and my paint choices. The eighth mistake that can disrupt your home's sense of harmony is ignoring the scale and proportion of the furniture that you are using. When furniture is too large for a space, it can make the space feel suffocating. It can quickly overwhelm the person who has to use the space or the people who have to use the space. Likewise, furniture that's too small can make the room feel really cold and sterile. It can make a person feel on the spot, as if they are being unduly focused on. So you really want to find a balance. If you have very large furniture, very stately furniture, it's more suited to, say, a large room, whereas smaller furniture that has clear legs off the ground, like what I'm using in this space, is ideal for smaller spaces because it creates a sense of airiness in the room, because you can see the floor straight throughout. Nothing is breaking up the floor. So you really want to focus on that as well when you're creating your home's sense of harmony. The ninth mistake that may be harming your home's sense of harmony is overcomplicating your decor. Now, you may think that this is the same thing as clutter, but it's not, because clutter is often pieces that no longer serve an active purpose in our life. When I'm talking about complicated decor, it's pieces that we love, that we cherish, that we want to hold on to, but it's just that we are not curating them. So as a result, they take up a lot of space, more space than they really should, for us to optimally enjoy them and for us to display them to others. So you want to be very mindful of all the little tchotchkes, all the bric-a-brac, all the what's the other word, knickknacks that you might have lying around, and you might want to cull them a bit. This doesn't mean that you have to throw anything away or give anything away. Just put them in storage a bit and rotate them on a regular basis, whether that's once a quarter, once a month, holidays, season, decor, all of that. But you want to be sure that the pieces that you pick out are placed there very intentionally so that they can be best appreciated. So now that we've addressed the top 10 mistakes that could be disrupting your home sense of harmony, let's look at how to rectify them. The first thing that I would address after you've decluttered is focusing on your room or your home's color palette. You want to be sure that it is cohesive and that you are sticking to the colors that give you the most sense of joy and the most sense of peace. So now that you've settled on your favorite colors, I want you to think of the neutrals that you want to combine it with. Even if you don't think you want a neutral room, having that safe backdrop really allows your favorite colors to shine through. Then I want you to go on Pinterest or Instagram and start to look at rooms that highlight these colors and see how they work for you. Once you have a color palette in place, it's time to start thinking of your design style. Do you already know what your preferred design style is, or are you attracted to quite a few of them? Once again, you want to do some research and see how those styles can work together. Now that you have those ideas in place, it's time to curate your sentimental items. You want to hold on to those pieces. Right now, I'm not advising you get rid of anything, but just for now, which pieces would really work wonderfully with the color palette and the design style that you have settled on? And you want to focus on bringing those to the fore. It doesn't mean that you can't bring in others that you also love. We'll just have to be a little more mindful on how we work them in. And once again, like I said, I will be bringing out that combining design style video very soon. And when I do, I will link it in the description box as well, in case you're watching this video long after I've uploaded it. I want you to focus on pieces that already suit your style and your preference. Once again, you want your home to be a reflection of your unique life story and your core values. However, having said that, it's okay if there are pieces that clash. I know that sounds absolutely unbelievable, but trust me, once you have dealt with the other mistakes on this list, 1 or 2 items or maybe even 3 that are a little out of place can be brought in mindfully into a room, and that juxtaposition creates immediate interest. It creates intrigue, and it creates an inimitable layer to your home that cannot be replicated by a Target haul or Home Goods run or visit. And that's really what you want. You want something that's unique, that has your fingerprint on it. Doing so is how you'll create a home that's a unique reflection of your values and your story. If you're enjoying this journey towards a more mindful and harmonious home, be sure to check out my Mindful Living playlist, where I dive deeper into how to cultivate presence and peace in your everyday life. See you there.